5 easy ways that you can implement to help you stay out of the Medicare donut hole. What's up, friends? Rob Sevilla here. Some know me as the Medicare Minister with Agape Insurance and Financial Group here in North Mississippi. And today I just want to talk to you a little bit about the donut hole, give you a little brief outline and explanation of what that means, as well as 5 tips to help you stay out of that donut hole, or at least keep you out of there as long as possible. And so first, let me start with explaining what the donut hole is, or the coverage gap. Most people refer to it as the donut hole just because it's easier to remember than the coverage gap. But the bottom line is they are the same thing. So here's what it simply means, is that once you fall into the coverage gap or donut hole, simply put, it means that there's a temporary limit on what the drug plan will cover for your drugs. Now, let me pause here just for a second and say, not everyone will fall into the donut hole or coverage gap. Generally, what you're going to see is if the doctor has you on a large amount of medications, or even if you're not on that many medications, but you're taking multiple high-tier drugs, like Ozempic for diabetes, or Januvia or Jardiance for diabetes, or some other type of really high-priced insulin that's not covered under the Medicare Savings Act, you can fall into that donut hole pretty quickly. Other drugs like Eliquis for AFib, or Xarelto, which is a blood thinner, and I could go on and on, but you get the point, is that if you're on multiple high-tier drugs like that, you can fall into the donut hole or the coverage gap pretty quickly. So here's how it works. The coverage gap starts or begins after you and the drug plan, you the Medicare beneficiary that is, and the drug plan have spent a certain amount for covered drugs. In 2023, that is $4,660, and that is going up to $5,031 in 2024. Let me say that again. For 2023, that is $4,660. And then for 2024, that's going up to $5,031. And when you're in the coverage gap, simply put, it just simply means that you, the Medicare beneficiary, are responsible for 25% of the drugs, both for your generics and for your name brand. So here's how it breaks down. The manufacturer pays 75%. The plan, whatever plan you're on, pays 5%. And then you, the Medicare beneficiary, are responsible for the other 25%. So once again, you're more than likely to fall into the donut hole or go into that if you're taking a large amount of medicines, or if you are taking several high-tier drugs within your medicine mix. So let me give you way number 1 to help you stay out of the donut hole either altogether or as long as possible. And that is to use discount RX cards like you see here on the screen. A lot of people use GoodRx. I personally use the one that you see here on the screen, Prime RX, just because I've seen it work a little bit better for many of the clients that we work with. You can simply get a copy of the card for yourself by clicking on the link in the video description below. It doesn't cost you anything, and they'll either text it to you or they'll email it to you. And I always tell our people that we work with, for whatever reason, you're going to have certain drugs that are covered under these discount cards better than on your own Medicare standalone plan, or even some of your Medicare Advantage plans. So I always tell our people, ask them to run both. Ask them if it's more affordable on my Medicare or if it's more affordable on my discount card. Now, real quickly, you cannot use both. You have to use one or the other. So that's definitely tip number 1. Number 2 is to apply for extra help. They're going to show a little chart on the screen here that kind of breaks down some of the income requirements. But the bottom line is you have to have a relatively low income if you're married or single, and depending on what your income and what they call resource limits are, depending on what your income and your resource limits are, is going to ultimately decide or determine if you qualify for either full extra help or for partial extra help. In this video, I won't go into the specifics of that, but the bottom line is you could qualify for either full or partial extra help, and those can help you in some ways keep that drug cost down as much as possible. If you are getting value out of this particular video, please take a moment to like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, give us a comment below if there's some other things that you want us to talk about, and then share this with somebody who you think needs to hear this information. This just helps us help more people like yourself, because the YouTube algorithm allows this video to be shown to more people like yourself. All right, back to the program here. So number 3 is to utilize the 340B program. Now, this could be a whole video in itself, but basically it's a program that was implemented by Congress, and it requires manufacturers to provide discounts for outpatient drugs in areas where there's a large number of population of people who are either uninsured or underinsured. Here in North Mississippi, where I live, I think we have about 4 clinics within 30 miles of the small town that we live in, and you can call these clinics that are participating in the 340B program, and many times you can find the drugs that you're taking, especially if they're really, really expensive, to help you get those drugs at a heavily discounted rate. So the 340B program could be a way to help you stay out of the donut hole altogether, or avoid going into the donut hole as quickly as it would have been if you didn't have access to this program. Now, number 4 is to ask for samples. A lot of times I run into Medicare beneficiaries who, for whatever reason, are reluctant to ask their providers for samples. But I have many of the people that I work with are asked for samples all the time, because a lot of times these providers have plenty of samples that they can help you keep the costs down and having to use your drug plan altogether, which keeps you out of the donut hole longer. So I can't encourage this enough. Please don't be scared or reluctant to ask your provider for samples. And then tip number 5, and the final tip here, call the manufacturer. Most of these drugs have a manufacturer program that you can call and apply for, and it's going to be based on various things like income and other factors like that. But it never hurts to call and apply to see if you can get some type of discount directly from the manufacturer. You can also use sites like needymeds.com. I'll have the link in the video description below as well, but you should see the link here on the screen as well, needymeds.com, and you can go and type your specific drug into the little search box, and it will pull up all the directions on how to apply for the manufacturer's program, if there is one, and also give you information about other grants or programs that may be out there. And some of the most common drugs that I see these programs used for are for like Eliquis, which we talked about earlier, for AFib, or Januvia or Jardiance for diabetes, or Ozempic, maybe some type of really expensive inhaler that you're taking for COPD. Bottom line is, you get what I'm saying. But all these different drugs, if they're in that database, you can type in the name of that drug and it will pull up the different programs that are available for you. And this could be huge for you when it comes to keeping you out of the Medicare coverage gap / donut hole altogether, or at least keep you from going into there so quickly where you're responsible for 25% of the drug. Well, I pray that these 5 tips have brought you some value, and that you utilize them to help you either stay out of the donut hole altogether or keep you from falling into it as quickly as possible. And if you need help applying for extra help for your drug plan, you can do it on your own simply by, clicking on the link in the video description, which I stated earlier in the video, or you can simply just reach out to us. The number is on the screen, and we would be more than happy to help you apply, no cost or no obligation to you. Well, God bless you guys, and we'll see you on the next video.